Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets, Tips and Tales, powered by Property Finder, the leading property platform and number one property app in the region, driving more leads and transactions than any other platform. This is where super agents and smart home seekers meet even smarter tech, because behind every great listing and every hot lead is technology that works harder so you don't have to. We're back with Ben Greenwood of Arabian Estates, who is one of Property Finder's super agents on the platform. And we're going to talk about some of the tech tools he uses to stay sharp, aware of his niche, aware of his market, aware of what's going on, and give you some tips and maybe a few tales to stay ahead of the competition. Now, Ben, how do you use Data Guru, insights to influence your pricing, what you're saying to buyers and what you're saying to sellers?
I think for me, one of the best parts about Data Guru is like the pricing map. So a lot of people, they want value for money, right? Let's say you have a budget of 1.5 million. And this is like a most recent case, actually. One of my friends' friends bought a unit in JVC with me last month. And we actually opened up this tool to say, where can you get price per square foot, value for money, which are obviously for most people linked. And we opened up the map and we just put in like budget, number of bedrooms, and it came up with a couple of different areas. One of them, of course, was a million miles away. But then we sort of honed in and we realized that there were a couple of areas that would suit what they were looking for. So we looked at a couple of units in those different areas. And he went and closed one in JVC, but it was perfect because it just came up and it showed you where this whole value for money or price per square foot or the biggest apartment for the least amount of money would come up. So for me, that's probably one of the most exciting parts of the tool.
And how often do you obsess over data? Are you checking constantly what's going on in your community? What's your...
Yeah, I think it's always good to know what has sold, bar the stuff, of course, that you sell yourself. So it's good to know what's sold. It allows you to stay in real time with the market so that you can educate buyers and sellers. So I think it's important. Generally, every Monday, I'll probably go into the office, have a look at what's sold over the last week or so, what's transferred, new listings, see what's coming online, where our listings are priced in comparison with those that are coming on. Are we well priced? Are we overpriced? Can we go back to some owners and give them an idea that, you know, your next door neighbours come on for however much less? Do we see value in where we're at? Or is it worth trying to compete with your next door neighbour in terms of pricing? Like, how serious are you about getting this thing sold?
Yeah. Positioning is so important.
Positioning's huge, yeah. You know, you've obviously got the premium and the featured capabilities with Property Finder. And when we were talking about search criterias and people looking on most recent, or often people go price low to high, click, click, click. But it's great to go by the featured ones, because the businesses that are working with Property Finder, they'll only really promote stuff that's actually worth promoting and worth selling. So if something is well priced or it's unique or whatever else, and it's going to catch some real attention and genuinely sell, then they'll put some extra money behind it. But if you're on the market with hundreds of agents and your pricing is 10-15% above the market, don't be surprised to see it sit on the portals for a little while.
For a manager even to approve to promote something to a premium listing or a featured, you're going to have some strong evidence to back that.
Yeah, definitely.
So for a home seeker, so anyone looking on Property Finder, they should know that it's not that that's boosted to just get eyeballs. It's boosted for a genuine reason. You know, that there is strong conviction that this is a good listing, and that's why someone has approved for it to be a premium.
Yeah, of course. If
property.
you were running the business, would you put extra marketing behind something that's overpriced and is never going to sell? Or are you going to put extra marketing behind something which is really in line with the market, priced incredibly sharply and ready to go? like which is going to sell first.
Yeah. And that's important. You made a very good point about making sure that you're keeping an eye on what's coming on around your listing. So
Yeah.
it's not just about the price that you go on the market for. You've got to keep it positioned correctly in that market for as long as it's online.
Absolutely. I think a lot of owners have been, they've benefited, I guess you can say, from the upward trend in the market. So let's say their pricing was high to begin with, but the market's caught up over the sort of 1-2 months that it's been kind of stagnant online. There's been a couple of sales that have come through, a couple of transfers that have gone through, and now the market's kind of caught up to where you want to be. So the price increase in the market itself has allowed for some owners to get a little bit more than perhaps what they were originally hoping.
And you mentioned it's important to educate buyers, it's important to educate sellers. It's also important to educate real estate agents, or stay educated or stay informed.
It is.
So how do you, as a super agent, stay informed, stay knowledgeable, stay educated?
Stay educated.
And motivated.
Motivated. I think a lot of this boils down to stuff that you don't necessarily do in the office. There are things that you can do outside of the office that will keep you motivated. Of course, like finding out the reason why you're doing this. If we're doing this just for the sake of being a broker, then at some point you're probably going to come unstuck. But if you have a why, if you have a reason,
a compelling reason.
Yeah, for sure. And then outside of that, of course, I am in therapy at the moment.
Which is rare.
Rare.
It's a very American thing.
Yeah. And originally I was, I guess you could say, quite negative about the concept, about the idea. But the more I've done it and the more I've sort of like worked around whatever's going on, it's not, you can call it therapy, but you can also call it like performance enhancement, mental.
Yeah.
Or like so many different ways, right? That have a much more positive spin on it. You know, I'm there to become a better husband, better father, better broker, just an all-round better version of myself. And I think the growth that I've seen just in the short space of time that I've been doing it has been in itself quite overwhelming. But it's a really exciting prospect, I think, because it's the first time I've ever truly invested in myself to become better. Everything I've ever learned has come from external sources. I've never paid for education. I've never had any education paid for, but this is like an education in
yourself.
Yeah, you're going to the university of yourself, and it's a scary place to go to for sure, but it's so freeing.
Was it the real estate industry that led you to therapy?
No, not really. I mean, listen, I have a lot of people that are dependent on me doing well. So in itself, like that's obviously a lot of pressure. But my time in the market has been great. I've been very fortunate with the people I've met, the places I've worked, and wherever else. Like all of it, I can't speak badly about that. It's all been fine. But sometimes things just get on top, and you know, the whole feeling to me was really new, because everything, like when you come into the marketplace, it all, except for the first year, like where it was difficult, of course, but the rest of it kind of just clicked, and it all went pretty well, pretty smooth, and it just ran its course. I guess this was the first time that I ever had a feeling of, I don't even know what it is, like of being on top. So yeah, I mean, it was an odd place to be. But if I can advise anyone, for sure, if they're struggling in any sort of capacity, then speaking to someone who has no idea who you are, no judgment, it's the most freeing thing that I've ever done.
I'll give you a free alternative. ChatGPT.
I
swear to God, everyone's using that for therapy these days.
Yeah. I mean, by all means can do that. Myself, I prefer interpersonal and kind of like instant human feedback, but I can totally understand, a free alternative that probably still has zero judgment. Yeah, I can understand how that can work. And I guess whether it's the gym, whether it's music, whether it's walking down Kite Beach, ChatGPT, real time, face to face kind of stuff, whatever works for you and can keep you going through the times that are a little bit more challenging, then just find your thing and go with it.
So what's the one biggest mindset tip you can give for all the real estate agents out there? Because we keep hearing this word right now, mindset, positive mindset.
Yeah.
And again, it's important as an ex-military guy, now 5 years in the industry.
Top tip, I guess, would probably be, if you're almost robotic, right, then the highs wouldn't be highs and the low would never be lows. It would just be a constant. I think that's what most people who are incredibly high performance try and strive to achieve, to have no emotional ups and downs or peaks and troughs. So
but that's just boring.
It's boring, right? And it's nice to ride the roller coaster, but I think what's important is enjoy the highs, of course, while they're there, but still never lose sight of what has got you there. So let's say you close a really big deal and you have a great commission coming in, like, congratulations to you, well done. But what's next? It's important to maintain this level that has got you to where you've got to. And then when the times are tough, of course, do whatever you can to make sure that the troughs and the lows are not so low.
And I think it's important to manage expectations as well. So there's that old saying, or that happiness is the gap between your reality and your expectations. So the wider that gap is, the unhappier you'll be. So keep your expectations relatively close to your reality. Especially in this industry, it's important to recognize it does not end. The amount of money you can make does not end.
No.
So your expectations, you've done that big deal. Now you're thinking, okay, what's the next big deal? Let's say you went out and bought a G-Wagon. Okay, what can I buy next? It's never going to be enough. Don't drive yourself into the ground trying to find happiness in material things or targets, or it doesn't stop.
I don't think it works. So that's not how the world works, right? I watched that video of Will Smith. I don't know if you saw it, where he's talking about rock bottom, but no one talks about what he calls cliff top. Like, you can drive yourself to ascertain all of these things, but what happens when you finally get here? This place is just as dangerous, by the way, as this place, because up here it's a long way down.
I think people assume there's happiness at the top.
It's not always. No, absolutely not. You can find some of the most unhappy people ever who are in these positions, just as unhappy, but just because they have some money, like, apparently that makes it all better. I can tell you from experience, sometimes it doesn't.
It makes it more comfortable, maybe.
But perhaps. You're just going crazy in a bedroom as opposed to on the streets. But there's no, you just have to find your comfortability and be happy and appreciate what you have. Like, if I could have told you 3 years ago you'd be here now, would you have, like, snapped my arm off? You probably would. So let's just take a moment to stop and appreciate all the things that you've done. I've got 3 kids, man.
Mindfulness.
It's amazing.
I don't think I've ever done an episode about mindfulness and done maybe a little bit of mindset conversations, but thank you for that refreshing,
my pleasure.
Slightly sensitive topic, and thank you for being so open about your own therapy journey, and for encouraging everybody else to seek their true happiness. And it's not always money and commission.
No.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Catch the rest of Ben's episodes. While you're at it, why not binge the whole season?